What means a decent life for you? What makes up a decent life?
For me, decent life is first simply defined as when one has enough food, has enough clean water to drink, and is good shelter. Enough food, implying at least you have 3 meals in a day. Decent shelter, meaning you are not living like an animal in a hole, but in a proper house, protected from all the adverse weather conditions, the cold, the heat, etc. Water, it has to be clean, health water. For me, when you lead a life with those three around you being available, then that is decent life.
And what does the term human rights means to you?
It's not an acquired property. It is an inherent property, if you want. You are born with it. I'm born to have food. I'm born to enjoy life. I'm born to have clean water. I'm born to be respected. I'm born to be free to express my views. So it's not something that I'm going to acquire along the way. It's something that even at the time of my birth, it's already there. And therefore it's supposed to be guaranteed to me. So that's the way I would define human rights.
In your work, did you experience situations where the promoting of human rights is hindered by some traditions, some cultural values, which are an obstacle for promoting human rights? Can you give example for this?
Yes. I will give one important cultural value, which for me is very important because it hinges around many things. It's the value of respect. Now, respect is a very important value, and I think when you look at it, it's not supposed to violate anyone's right. But at the same time, respect in many ways has ended up being abused to mean fear. I don't know, I was sharing probably with you and the other colleagues about my experience with the village head persons in the area where you were, who will not speak and make positive contributions when they are in a meeting with their chief. Even when the chief is wrong, they can't say, "Sir, I do not agree with what you are saying," because if they do, then they'll be told to shut up or punished. So they are expected to respect their chief. It's a traditional value to respect. But in the context where people are not able to speak their mind, in the context where people are not able to express themselves, where people are not able to actually claim their rights before their duty bearers because of respect, then I see that traditional value as actually a hindrance. But having said that, I still uphold the value of respect myself because it's very important. But I think in the traditional aspect, to a certain degree, respect is being abused.
And how do you deal with this problem?
Immediately I could say there are two possible ways. Firstly, is to bring a situation where you want to orient the leaders to appreciating the fact that they cannot be leaders without people. And the people that they lead are people who have rights. And like I said earlier, rights are not acquired. This is property that you are born with, and it's rightly yours. So nobody can actually take it away from you. And so the leaders must be oriented to acknowledge this. Secondly, the second aspect has to do with those people themselves who are led to realize that when it comes to one's right, you are never wrong, unless what you are doing infringes another person's right. But because people are full of fear, even when they are going to defend their own rights, they fear the fear of the unknown, that makes it very difficult for them to stand up and contribute positively to their well-being. So on one hand, the led must be helped to understand that they cannot actually be punished when they are defending their own rights. But at the same time, the leaders must also be helped to realize that they cannot be leaders unless they are people, and that these people have rights, and these rights need to be respected.
Do you see this problem also in the politician system, in the politics, as you described it in the chiefdom system, like the abuse of respect?
Actually, for those of us who are not very close to the chiefdoms, we paint this scenario mainly from the political arena. I'm not going to mention names of the various leaders in Africa, not even in my own country. But when someone has been elected to a position of leadership in the political arena, they become the bosses. But in actual fact, political leadership is about being servants. So we have seen people being punished because they've criticized a political leader. Rightly so, because this person is not doing their job. They stand to be criticized. But because they've been criticized, then people are being arrested. As a result, when a politician is talking, we are compelled to shut up, even when we know what they are saying is not helpful, even when we know what they are saying is destructive, even when we know what they are saying is actually impinging on other people's rights. But we tend to shut up because we know that there's already an abuse of respect for human rights in that area as well. And it's a very common thing. And this is why in the Zambian situation, you will discover that the political leaders seem to have an upper hand over the electorates, when it is the electorates who are supposed to have an upper hand over the political leaders, because they are the ones who put them there. They are our workers, In fact, I would be thinking there should come a time when we should fire these guys, out of their job, But, once in office, it takes 5 years before you go for another election. Even when someone is doing nothing, even when someone goes around abusing people, we have to wait for 5 years. And this, I think, is also inherited from the traditional chiefdom arrangement, and it has been taken into modern politics. For Zambia, this is a common case. It's a common scenario.
And the other way around, do you have examples where you say, where you feel that the promotion of human rights is supported by traditional values?
When I look at some of the areas where I'm working today, along the floodplains, where we have women that have been empowered to own property. We have women who can literally walk out of their marriages because they think they are being misused. We have women who refuse to be abused by their men. It's among we call them the Tonga Ila people. It's among their tradition that the women are somewhat liberated and they are free to speak their mind out. Just to give you a bit of a background, in our province we have the 3 groups of the Tonga. We have the Tonga in the valley areas where you went, and we have the Plateau Tongas, and then we have the Ila Tongas along the floodplains. I have always admired the Tonga people in the floodplains because there seemed to be a lot of liberation given, even to the children, even to the young ones. The young ones will challenge their parents, they will challenge their uncles and tell uncle, look, this is not your property, this is my father's property. But in the rest, especially of the villages, there's a lot of silence demanded of those that are regarded as less than the others, the children, the women, at times even the elderly. They are told to shut up. That's what tradition demands. But I've always envied what is going on among the Tonga eras of the floodplains. And I wish that could be emulated elsewhere. But let's not leave it at that. Young people who have gone to school today are beginning to question. Do you realize that the word taboo was never a word that you could demand for an explanation among our tradition? When you are told this is a taboo, if a woman eats an egg, it's a taboo when they are pregnant. Can you please explain what that means? That, no, you don't explain a taboo. But today, things are changing. And young people going to school are beginning to ask, and explanations are being given. And most of these things that were referred to as taboo, which actually impinged on human rights, are now being phased out. And I like that development.